This is a book review of Be Fearless. We are Accessory to Success and review a lot of business books here. This is a website for business leaders, entrepreneurs, writers. If that sounds interesting, consider subscribing to our email newsletter. We send a once-a-week newsletter out with book releases and reviews, takeaways from all these great business books. Now let's move on to the main takeaway from this great book. The chairperson of National Geographic, Jane Case, explores what sets the most successful people in the world apart from everybody else and comes up with some startling conclusions. For Case, the idea that the big gamble in life can pay off forms the basis of her book, Be Fearless. Here are some bullet point takeaways of what you'll learn in this book. Fear is not the enemy, but a driving force that should be embraced. There's no need for a major plan. Instead, you should look to start a new life in the moment. Partnerships can be formed in unlikely circumstances. She also shares her 5 rules most successful people share, which are: gamble on big moves, take risks, do not be afraid of failure, look for different partners, embrace the urgency felt to succeed by the most successful people. Now on to the main summary. Picking up Be Fearless by Jane Case, you may be a little uncertain, not wanting to read another book by a successful person giving their own story of success. However, Jane Case takes her own story and weaves it through a series of stories of successful people who she explains have spent much of their life filled with doubts and seeing failure. You may be pleasantly surprised by the book because it gives far more information and actionable tips regarding how to become successful than you may imagine. Jane is undoubtedly a successful entrepreneur and philanthropist who sits at the top of the National Geographic brand. Her story is inspiring to read because of the difficult early childhood she lived through, the circumstances of growing up with a single mother who battled to keep the family moving forward. This made her a gritty professional. Grit is another book worth reading on success and developing skill. What you'll enjoy about the book was Jane Case telling the story of her own family life, but frame the difficulties she and her family faced with the rules of success she discusses. One of the main takeaways from Be Fearless is that of seizing the sense of urgency most entrepreneurs feel when they are looking for success. This sense of urgency seems to run through the life of Jane Case as she explains her rise from considering law school to seizing time in the early years of the internet with AOL. By jumping into the online sector early in its launch, Jane Case began a career that could have taken a different direction without trusting her belief in the future success of the online sector. Another book on this subject would be I Love Capitalism, authored by the co-founder of Home Depot. As you read Be Fearless, you will find yourself looking forward to the stories of everyday people, celebrities, and world-famous CEOs that are intertwined with the how-to aspects of the book. The attention always tends to fall on the famous people who are interviewed from the book, but you should also equally enjoy the stories of everyday people who had found success within the framework of Case's book. This is comparable to the book The Messy Middle. The knowledge that ordinary people have been able to set out their journey to business and life success should make it easier to embrace the strategies and action items explained by the author. Hearing the story of Barbara Van Dalen and the work she's done to provide free healthcare services for veterans is inspiring. It shows how a small idea can form into a large organization. The psychologist Barbara identified the huge mental health crisis in the U.S. following the conflicts of Afghanistan and Iraq and began volunteering an hour each week. Eventually, our healthcare professionals followed suit and a national network was now been built that has given over $25 million in services to veterans. There's a similar nonprofit example like this about donating uneaten food in the book Contagious. One of the most revealing interviews in the book is used to explain the idea that failure should not be feared, but should be seized upon to spur us on a greater success, is that of Steven Spielberg. The movie director may have enjoyed a long and successful career, but his many failures along the way have not halted his continued upward career trajectory. From Spielberg, the failures in his life have formed a drive to bounce back from each issue and achieve more than in the past. If this topic is interesting, you must read the book Anti-Fragile. Unlike many other books in the business sector that include celebrity stories, Jane Case does not dwell on the stories of those who have already achieved. The inclusion of Oprah Winfrey and Sheryl Sandberg may grab the headlines, but you will be more inspired by the inclusion of the chimpanzee and great ape advocate Jane Goodall. The story of Goodall battling to overcome the issues she faced trying to protect chimpanzees early in her career makes for a stunning and dramatic read that brings the principles of Jean Case to life. The big gamble that Case pushes as her mantra is "Be fearless," and was for Goodall that decision to head into the wild and interact with great apes instead of simply studying them in captivity. The life of Jane Goodall was changed by a meeting with Louis Leakey, who was willing to give the untrained Goodall a chance to head to Africa and forge her career with little training. Taking a big gamble in life will always have a positive impact on your life as an entrepreneur, no matter what stage of life you find yourself at. If reading specific stories of success like this are interesting, you may like the book Small Giants. About the author, Jean Case. The achievements of Jean Case are many and include her role as one of the early pioneers of the internet as a tool for business and leisure. The author, entrepreneur, and philanthropist was not born into a position where business was at the top of her to-do list. Instead, Case set out from her humble origins intent on becoming a lawyer or a political figure upon leaving Westminster Academy in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Life changed for Jean Case when she identified the potential of the internet in the early 1990s when she joined the digital marketing team at the Source Telecomputing Corporation. A series of moves followed that took her to General Electric and then to AOL. That was the leader in bringing the internet to the public at the time. Since leaving AOL in '96, Jean has gone on to become the CEO of the National Geographic brand and has become one of the leading investors and philanthropists in the U.S. Case recently joined the Giving Pledge initiative that sees billionaires promise to give the majority of their wealth away to help those in need. This has been a book review of Be Fearless by Jean Case, a very lovely book. We are Accessory to Success. There's been a lot of other book recommendations made in this review. You can find links to all of those in the blog post. If you'd like to head over there, don't forget to subscribe to our email newsletter. We send out once a week with book releases, updates, takeaways from all these great business books and writing tips. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next review.